Now for something completely different. So we're going to do something wild and crazy this fall, something that we've never done on this farm, and I'm not sure how many people have done this in our area in the last 20 or even 30 years. I've been home farming for, I guess, 21 years, and I can't remember the last time I saw commercially produced canola around here. There's been some canola hybrid seed, I believe, done in some test plots by Pioneer in the area. But no one that I know of in this little area that I live has planted winter canola. And it's something that we're just looking to do an experiment with. We're doing about 20 acres this fall. We're just getting ready to seed it hopefully tomorrow. A friend of mine is going to do it for me. It's a really precise seeding rate, and it's such small seed that we can't put it in our air seeder because 2 bags is all we need to plant 20 acres, and actually that could be a little heavy yet too. We might have to just back off the seeding rate a little bit, but we're going to plant it on wheat stubble that we harvested there back in July. We spread some chicken litter on it at a pretty good rate, 4 ton, like I said in my other video, and worked it in with the joker, but we didn't plant a cover crop on that because I kind of was thinking maybe that we might be doing this. So what I did was on Thursday, today's Saturday, and we're hoping to plant it tomorrow on Sunday. So on Thursday, we sprayed Roundup to kill all the volunteer wheat that we got growing by jokering and rolling that wheat stubble that we put the chicken litter on. And I'm going to work it one more time here this afternoon to make a really nice seed bed. The seeding depth has to be pretty shallow, and we have to have really good soil to seed contact to get germination. So we do have to work this ground. The joker's doing a really good job doing that. I'm going to do a second pass with the joker just to get it a little finer so we have good soil to seed contact, and we'll go with that. So I'm going to hop in the joker and get this done. Just in the tractor with the joker. You can see it's pretty dusty. It's kind of dry, like there's moisture in the soil, so I'm not too worried about that. It's just that the top of the surface is quite dry, but I think it won't be a problem. The seed's really small, and I can show you that once we get planting it tomorrow. But we're just trying to get that top layer of the soil kind of loosened up and nice and fine, so we got, as I said, good soil to seed contact. Sadly, no, that's not a cover crop. That is volunteer wheat from the combine. This field that we harvested, the straw was pretty tough, and the nice part about the case is you can spread the chaff that comes out the back of the sieves, so it gets spread and the straw gets dropped separately in a windrow. That's how we have our combine set up. So what happens is there's a kind of a larger area around the back of the combine that chaff gets spread in, and that tends to be where the volunteer wheat or the wheat that goes over the back of the combine ends up. So you get that kind of large, you get more of a mat of volunteer wheat. It looks bad, but it's never as bad as it looks in terms of how much we put over. My guess probably is maybe a bushel of wheat, and it was hard in this field because it was one of the varieties that was down, and because of that we have to kind of get a whole bunch of more straw in the combine because we have to run the head so low, and as a result you get kind of greener straw, and when you're putting that through the combine it's hard to get the air through the straw to kind of separate the wheat from the straw. So we have that issue going over the back of the combine or out the back of the combine. Plus the sieves, and in areas, you know, where you got that much material going through, sometimes it's hard to separate because the yield was fairly high in those areas as well. If you're wondering why I plant winter canola, my best answer for you is I really don't know. I'm just intrigued by maybe the opportunity for us to double crop soybeans after we harvest the canola. I'm not sure when we'll harvest it. Well, I'm not sure it's going to make it through the winter. It depends what our winter's like and how harsh it is. But it's one of those things I just thought we'd try 20 acres and see what the opportunities are for it and what kind of success or failure we'll have with it. But I think for us, it's just always thinking outside the box. We're always looking for new opportunities or how to do things differently. And, you know, from a lens of making sure our farm is healthy both environmentally and healthy financially. So we try to do things that generate income for our farm so we can keep going at doing what we do. But at the same time, we want to make sure that, you know, we can look at opportunities to help the environment at the same time on the farms. You know, the canola might come off early enough, we can double crop soybeans. If not, we can do a nice cover crop behind it, have a lot of growth, do some great work on soil health, and then we can plant corn into it the following year. So it's something new, something exciting to try, and I look forward to seeing how it works out. Always experimenting. Back in the yard, the ground's worked and we're ready to plant tomorrow. I'm just gonna give my friend Stefan a call or text him and give him the heads up that I got the soil prepped, and we'll take a look at things tomorrow when we get seeding and how that's all gonna go. Fingers crossed everything goes good tomorrow, and we'll take you along for that ride and getting it seeded. Good morning. Monday morning, September 10th. We were going to plant canola yesterday, but Stefan had a pinched hose on his seeding unit and figured it probably wasn't a good idea to try to plant when you have a plugged hose. So he's gonna get that fixed up this morning, and we're probably gonna hopefully plant canola sometime today. I'm thinking maybe late morning or maybe even after lunch might be what happens. Last night I did roll the ground that we're gonna plant the canola in. I was getting a little nervous about the low humidity and some of the breeze. And you can't plant canola very deep because it's such a small seeded crop that you know, you don't want it, you just kind of want to get it down and into moisture. So I was like a little worried that we're going to lose some surface moisture that I kind of want around for the canola to germinate. Now we do have rain coming in this week, hopefully. We're looking at getting a good chance of maybe an inch over this week near the end of it. So that would be good for this process. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we do get consistent depth and that there's moisture there for germination. So I rolled it. Now I did do a rolling video for our soybeans, and I didn't do a really good job explaining the roller because it was going to be part of another video, but the video got too long, so I just kind of spliced out the rolling part of it. And the video, I think, is entitled "Why We Roll Our Soybeans." I can put a card up somewhere if you're interested in watching that. But this is the roller that we use for rolling our ground, and I'll just walk around it. This roller is basically just a big drum. There's 3 of them because we want it to fold going down the road so it's not too wide. Some of them fold a little bit better now, so they're not quite as tall as this one. This one's quite old. We bought it in 1995, 36 feet, and it's a pretty simple construction where there's basically just a metal frame that holds these drums, and they're on bearings on either end of the roll, on the roller on the drum, and basically that's how easy it is to push. I can just make it turn right now. That's kind of the back frame here. We ran into some issues before where there wasn't really enough strength to hold this whole area in here. It kind of hung out on its own off some tubular steel up front here, but people that make the roller, I think it's R&R rollers or R&R manufacturing, they kind of beefed it up with this whole back area of metal, and it's been good ever since. Helps carry the weight of the roller, especially going down the road more than anything. And basically all we do is unfold it and we roll, and these things are hollow. They don't have anything in it, no water, no concrete, no anything like that. It's just a pretty thick chunk of steel that weighs a pretty good amount, and it's enough to roll. You can kind of see here that it's just not quite half-inch thick steel, and then they weld a end on it, and then they just have a bearing holder down here to keep it moving. So that's the roller, nothing fancy. In the soybeans, we actually roll, as I said in that video, we roll just to kind of pound the stones back down, so it makes harvesting a lot easier on the combine. We use this during tillage to actually conserve moisture, to basically get the ground flat. So it just seems to hold the moisture a lot better. I'm not sure what the science is behind it, but We find that around here, especially when we start getting low on moisture at seeding time or planting time, that if we run the roller, the ground holds the moisture a lot better. And that's kind of why I used it for this. So it's a tool that's worked well for us. It's been on the farm for a number of years. We've always had a roller. There's a lot of rollers in our countryside. A, for soybeans, but B, just for guys who are doing tillage and I get worried that it's going to dry out. From a tillage standpoint, it also is really good at knocking down clumps. So when you're maybe cultivating and it's a little cloddy, some guys will hook a roller behind the cultivator and it'll knock those clumps down and make the seed bed smoother and plant a lot nicer. So anyways, we'll just keep you posted and wait for Stefan to show up.
It works. Unless you come up with like a little hydraulic drive or something.
Yeah.
Alright. Screwed things up in that.
Well, what you just saw there was Stefan was just taking some time to calibrate the drill while it was in the yard. All he did was put a little electric drill on the side to run the meter there on that seeder on the air box for that air drill there. And we had a little bag underneath the meter, and then what you do is turn the meter 30 times with the drill and capture the seed and then weigh it, and based on a conversion that he knows, it lets you know how many pounds per acre you're putting on. So we got dialed in for about 2.8. We figured that's probably maybe better to be a little safe than sorry on seeding rate. We're kind of targeting at 3 pounds, but there's it's just a hair over 100,000 seeds per pound on that stuff. So roughly looking at 300,000 seeds per acre. I think it's based on so many seeds per foot, but we'll just kind of go with that and see how it all works. So we got one bag in. I'll just make sure it gets going good there, and then I'll probably end up going back quick, grabbing the second bag, and have it available for him so when he runs out he can put the second one in. So each bag should do about 10 acres, maybe a little bit more. It's a 21 acre piece, so with overlap and other stuff, we should be in good shape. So we're just heading to the field, and we'll see you there. Now I expect this stuff is pretty hard to find, because it's so small, but it is blue with the seed treatment. So there's a one right there. Yeah, it's just like all seeds, they're really hard to find. So Stefan's just going up the field right now. We got the depth set and things look pretty good. It's getting dry. I put the roller back away thinking I wouldn't need it again. I'm debating whether I should roll this to seal it down again, but I'm also a little worried with rain. They're calling on this week that I don't want it super flat where it can compact a little bit. So I think overall it looks pretty good, and that roller on the back, that Packer outfit of that on the back of that Vaderstad looks like it's doing a good job. So I think I'll just let him pick away at doing what he's doing. I'll get the drone up. I'll go grab the other bag of seed and we'll get this planted. So that bag, he said, did right around that 10 acres, that 10 acre mark, which was, as I said, maybe a little heavy. So he backed it down a little bit. So we threw that second bag in, got some good drone footage. He's just gonna work back and do the spots in between the runs he did. Just makes it easier to turn on the headland. We do a lot of that too, where we do skip past tillage. We don't do it so much when we're seeding, but we will when we're doing tillage. And using an implement like his, is that Vaderstad is a lot like our Joker. It's got the two discs that go in opposite directions, and then it has that kind of conditioner at the back. His is a Packer, where it's not a kind of a tine wheel like ours is. His is a solid wheel that's got a narrow lip of metal in the middle that kind of can go in the ground and go a little deeper than the outside, but they're all kind of the same. They all work pretty good. So with his seeder on the back, it's pretty cool. It's ground driven. and it's got sensors in it and stuff to say if it's planting or not planting. So it's pretty neat technology just to have on the back there. So he does a lot of seeding of small seeds. Like canola, alfalfa, kind of hay mixtures, because it's really hard to meter that stuff out, and you don't want to go very deep. And the trick with his outfit is he's able to kind of do a nice broadcast layer across the top of the soil, and then just nicely work it in and firm it down with that back conditioning roll or that packer. So it works well. We'll keep you along for the journey as it comes up, but that's winter canola getting planted on our farm. Just to give you an idea of some of the stuff we've done here, is that this was wheat stubble. Once we harvested the wheat, kind of that end of July, 1st of August, we started spreading manure on the wheat stubble. This farm got the typical 4 tons per acre, so that works out to be a fair bit of nitrogen, but a lot of that nitrogen's in the organic form, so it's not readily available. Some is in the ammonia form, and it is available. So they recommend 30 to 40 pounds of nitrogen in the fall for canola when you're planting it. Because the manure is out here, we figure we probably have easily 30 to 40 pounds of nitrogen with that manure application, and a good chunk of P and K. So once we spread the manure, we jokered it in. It worked it into a nice 1.5 inch and 2-inch depth, and then we rolled right after we did that and just let it sit. What that does is it kind of stirs up all the seeds and the volunteer wheat, or the wheat that went out the back combine, and it basically gets it growing, and then that way you can control it a little bit better. So we sprayed it off there last Thursday with 1.5 liters old equivalent, so like 0.83, actually no, sorry, it was 1.25 liters, so 0.83 liters of glyphosate per acre. Winter canola is really sensitive to different herbicide carryovers, so we had to be very careful about what we had sprayed here before to make sure that it didn't have an impact on the canola. We haven't sprayed any chemicals on this other than Roundup since it was soybeans last fall, and we used a desiccant there, Aragon LQ, to burn off the soys back in the fall of 2018. So no issues with herbicide carryovers, which is nice. And everything's pretty good to go, and that's why we decided we'd take this little 20 acres and try this experiment. So everyone's kind of interested that I've talked to see how this works out, and we'll take you along for the journey. But I'll wrap up this video. I appreciate all the people that have been following the channel lately, and we're gonna have a fair bit more videos coming out as we hit heavy work in the fall here with harvest and prepping for next year as well. So with that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.